Brahma, the creator. He created everything in the universe, but he is not the universe itself, because that's Brahman. They aren't the same thing. That last letter changes a lot, apparently.
Brahman is the existence or the universe. So from Brahman did all these things come from, according to Hindu theology?
That was kind of confusing. You said Brahma created the universe? Hey guys, welcome back to Muslim Minds. We're going to be reacting to Hinduism Explained by Cogito. We recently reacted to another Hinduism video that did pretty well, so we want to check out more of the theology.
People is the world's Hinduism, the religion of over 1 billion people, is the world's oldest religion and probably the most confusing one to non-Hindus. Some say it isn't even a religion, more a way of life. Hindus themselves call it the Sanātana Dharma, the eternal tradition.
Just before we even go into anything, Hinduism, to me it seems like a culture for India with religions, like all the cultural religions in India, all kind of amalgamating or all kind of coming into one religion and kind of infused with the culture, and it's been since that way from the beginning of India.
Even people in the comments, I think, are Hindu, have said the same. It's more of just a lot of history and culture infused into religion and a lot of different stories and stuff being added. We never really got to learn about the authenticity of the books. So if anyone knows anything about that, let us know.
So, what is Hinduism? Does YOLO apply to them? And who is this elephant guy? Well, let's find out. Hinduism is the world's oldest active religion. It's the result of the merging of the ancient Indus Valley civilization and the nomads that came into India around 1500 BC. Some scholars say it could even go back many more thousands of years. But we won't delve too deep into dates, because dates in Hinduism are very, very controversial. But one thing is certain, Hinduism is old, like at least 36 Betty Whites. Hinduism has been around for so long that it and the concept of India itself are inseparable. Hindu and India even come from the same word. Sanskrit was the ancient language of the Hindus, and the Sanskrit name for the Indus River is Sindhu. The ancient Persians who sat across the Indus tended to switch their S's to H's, so Sindhu became Hindu. So the people living across the river became Hindus. The Persians told the Greeks, who dropped that very not Greek-like H, stuck in a very Greek-like E to the end, and boom, India. Hinduism has a long...
So India literally means like Hindu.
Yeah, they just changed the wording from different nations. Yeah. Greeks made it India.
Long history. But today we'll be focusing on just the core beliefs of Hindus because I don't have the willpower to animate a 3-hour-long video. Hindus are a diverse group. Some are strict, dedicating their lives to prayer, while others don't believe in any gods but still follow Hindu philosophy. To make things easier to understand, let's break Hinduism down into 7 core beliefs. So, here's my rap about the 7 Hindu beliefs.
You promised you weren't gonna do the rap. Come on, you're better than this, man.
Fine. Here's the regular version then. 1. Belief in one universal soul. Brahman. Hindus believe in a universal soul known as Brahman, a formless, genderless source of all reality. Brahman is the universe and the material that makes up the universe. It's a trippy concept, but think of Brahman as an ocean and everything else as drops propelling out of that ocean. Separate for a time, but still the same thing, if that makes sense. 2. Belief in an immortal...
So they said Brahman is the universe and what makes up the universe?
So essentially everything.
That's like, for us as Muslims, we believe Allah or God created the universe. But Hindus believe the universe is a God.
I mean, according to what he said, that's what it sounds like. Brahman is everything, meaning that he's everything, right? So,
but the universe, I don't know.
What do you mean?
He said the Brahman is the universe and everything that makes up the universe. But that kind of means like the universe is God.
That's what it seems like to me. I'm not sure, but that's what my understanding was before this video too.
Immortal individual soul. In Hinduism, souls are known as Atman. Actions of the soul while in a body have effects on that soul's next life. When you die, your soul moves to another new body. This is called transmigration. The kind of body the soul inhabits next is determined by karma. 3. Belief in karma. Karma is action, usually good or bad actions that affect society. For Hindus, karmic actions in the past affect us today, and our actions today affect our soul's future. 4. Belief in Moksha. The goal in Hindu life is to somehow get back to Brahman. If a Hindu can do this, they will be
so they were trying to reach Brahman, but Brahman is everything. But I think there's like a higher state of like your own self that you become one with. Because you actually become one with Brahman, so you become one with everything.
After that happens, they believe you don't be reincarnated, then you go live your like true life.
Yeah.
Like their version of heaven, I believe, with the Brahmin. So
yeah, you escape the cycle of
reincarnation. Yeah.
Freed from the cycle of life and death. This is called Moksha. You can achieve Moksha by realizing your oneness with Brahman. How you realize this is up to you. For this reason, Hindus pray, lead me from the unreal to the real. 5. Belief in the Vedas. The Vedas are Hindu sacred books of knowledge. There are 4 Vedas. Hindus believe that all 4 were divinely revealed to ancient Hindu sages. We'll take a closer look at the Vedas in a while. 6. Belief in...
We'll get into it more, but they believe it's divinely revealed, so they believe it came from their gods, basically.
Cyclical time. For Hindus, there are no beginnings or endings. Time is a series of cycles, each cycle containing 4 ages or yugas. There's the Krita, the Treta, the Dwapara, and the Kali. Added together, the 4 yugas total about 4.32 million years. At the end of each cycle, declining human morality leads to the total destruction of reality. Hindus believe that we are in the 4th and final yug, Kali. 7. Belief in Dharma. Dharma is a difficult word to translate to English. Proper behavior is the best that I could come up with. Dharma maintains balance in the universe. As long as everything in the universe, like animals, plants, and humans, follow their Dharma, then everything will be fine. If they break from the Dharma, though, things will be super not fine. Each being has its own Dharma. A lion's Dharma is to kill and eat antelope. A king's Dharma is to rule well. A subscriber's Dharma is to smash the like button and ring the notification bell. For humans, their specific Dharma is usually based on their age and their caste. An old priest will have a...
And anyone who's watching this video, your Dharma is to also like and subscribe.
Very different Dharma than a young merchant, for example. So those are the 7 core beliefs of Hinduism. With them, you can understand.
On the topic of Dharma, though, so they said like if a king, their Dharma or like their purpose is to rule, I can see like that can kind of get corrupt if you just be like, oh, this guy's an emperor, he can do whatever he wants because he's an emperor. Because I know in Hinduism there was the caste system before, where basically if you're a lower caste, like you're an untouchable, you're like the lowest of the low, and you have no choice that you are the lowest caste, and the highest caste you can just treat people badly.
I think Dharma is coming at the angle where if you are someone of a lower system, you have to do good in your means. So I guess it means like if you're poor or whatever, you don't resort to stealing or trying to rip off other people. And if you're wealthy and rich or a king, if that's just how your life happens to end up being, then you don't abuse that position of power. So that for the king to maintain his Dharma, you have to be a just king. If you're a tyrannical king.
But I think they also believe if you're lower, you'll get reincarnated into a higher one, like you'll become a king later.
Yeah, based off
you go up the caste system.
Yeah, based off your, I guess, good deeds.
The Hindu mindset. Unlike Christianity or Islam, Hinduism is a non-profit organization. There is no Jesus or Muhammad for Hindus. There is no Bible, Quran, or Torah. Instead, they have a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of different sacred texts. The 4 Vedas form the basis of the Hindu faith. So let's take a look at them. 1. The Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is a collection of songs that praise and discuss ideas like truth, reality, and the universe, along with discussions on war, weddings, and rituals. 2. The Yajur Veda. The Yajur Veda covers stuff such as sacrificial rites and rituals. 3. The Sama Veda. Sama literally means sweet song that destroys sorrow. It is mostly songs dedicated to praising gods. It's different than the rest of the Vedas because it's set to music. 4. The Atharva Veda. The Atharva Veda is my favourite one. Do you want to curse your enemies? Or charm that special someone? Maybe learn to invoke rain? Or discover herbal medicine along with tips on warfare? Like how to make poison arrows? Well, this Veda has you covered, along with a bunch of other charms and curses. It even has a curse against cursers. Avoid us, O curse, as a burning fire avoids a lake. Strike him here that curses us, as the lightning of heaven the tree. A link to the Atharva Veda is in the description, just in case you need a spell to get a wife or another to banish pigeons from your presence. It's great. After the Vedas come the Upanishads, which are like a sequel that makes the original make much more sense. They were probably written down between 800 BC and 500 BC, during a time when some Hindus started to question the Vedas. Their ideas became the Upanishads. The Upanishads are books on philosophy.
It seems like Hinduism in their theology and scripture is just a progression with the interpretations of the sages of that time, or like I guess the popular culture. Hinduism is kind of a reflection of Indian culture and its history.
Yeah, I mean, he said in the beginning though the Vedas were like divinely came, so
Yeah,
there's like divine songs and music and stuff and curses.
Or that's what's like obviously
that's like the widespread
claim.
belief.
Yeah,
okay.
But again, it's so old, it's hard to, I guess. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, and it seems Hindus themselves had problems, so they had to
reinterpret things. Yeah.
Or explain it.
Like we would expect from Plato or Aristotle. They're all about questioning, doubt, debate, and finding the answers to life's difficult questions. A theme in the Upanishads is that people are not their minds, or bodies, or egos, but their Atman. Your soul is you. Everything else is unreal and temporary. After the holy texts like the Vedas,
that is a concept in Islam that's pretty similar. Like we have our ruh, our soul, and this is just like a worldly body that, you know, God has given us, and we are not. This is just the dunya. Yeah, this is the trial, and then when we go to heaven or Jannah, that's like our soul is leaving us.
Yeah, like our soul is eternal, but then in the afterlife, then we will be made eternal in every sense. But our bodies, physical bodies, this world, everything
it's like
is
a vessel for this life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Vedas and the Upanishads are other less divine but still important texts. These include stuff like the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Puranas are like encyclopedias of Hindu beliefs. There are 18 well-known Puranas. The Puranas cover things from yoga, to army organization, to taxation, to the caste system, to hell, gods, and everything in between. The Bhagavad Gita, Gita for short, is one of Hinduism's most important texts. The Gita takes place on a battlefield where Arjuna, a great warrior, refuses to fight. Lord Krishna steps in to urge Arjuna to fight, and their discussion covers things such as Dharma and how to live your best life. Arjuna eventually fought after Lord Krishna taught him the truth about Dharma. As a member of the warrior caste, Arjuna's Dharma was to fight against evil. The lesson of the Gita is that everyone faces difficult choices, but they must act on them according to their Dharma, no matter how unpleasant. Along with all these philosophical texts,
act on them according to their Dharma, no matter how unpleasant. Meaning sometimes according to what your role is supposed to be, even if you don't like it, you have to act on it.
Yeah,
or
like
you should act on it.
If they're warriors, then it's okay to go to war because that's what you're supposed to do, which is basically the example they were giving.
Yeah.
Hinduism has two action-packed epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Ramayana, the earlier of the two texts, tells the story of Prince Rama. In the epic, you find out about his 14-year-long exile, the abduction of his wife Sita, his battle with the evil demon Ravana, and his awesome monkey sidekick Hanuman. The second epic, the Mahabharata, is the longest poem in the world. 5 times the length of the Bible and 8 times the length of the Iliad and Odyssey combined. It rivals any soap opera you've ever seen when it comes to drama. Murder, betrayal, love, murder, and giant battles. The Mahabharata has it all. The theme running through the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is that Dharma must be followed for society to function. In Hinduism, there are...
So, like, these are... It sounds like amazing stories, but is it anything more than just stories?
It sounds like just stories.
It doesn't seem like authentic. Is it just like stories to, put religious, beliefs in doctrine in like in story fiction form.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a fiction way of kind of raising the religious spirits of people.
Okay, interesting.
That's what it looks like.
There are 4 goals a person should aim for to have a good life. The first of these is Dharma, followed by Artha, the pursuit of prosperity and good reputation, Kama, pleasure both in body and in mind, and Moksha, the release from the cycles of rebirth. Hindus should practice Artha and Kama with Dharma in order to achieve Moksha. There are also 6 temptations Hindus should try and avoid. Kama, lust and materialism. This Kama is different from the good Kama mentioned above, I know. Next is Kruda, which is anger, low greed. Moha, which is unrealistic attachment to things, people and power. Mada, which is pride. And Matsarya, which is jealousy. By following their Dharma and avoiding these 6 temptations, a Hindu can break the cycle of rebirth and have their soul merge back into Brahman. But even though everything comes from Brahman, who is the one real thing in Hinduism, Hindus do, after all, have thousands of gods. So let's take a look at them. First, there's Brahma, the creator. He created everything in the universe, but he is not the universe itself, because that's Brahman. They aren't the same thing. That last letter changes a lot, apparently. He has 4 heads. The heads face each of the 4 directions to represent the 4 Vedas, which he created, and the 4 yugas. He also holds a book, which represents knowledge. Oh, and he rides a giant swan because he's...
Brahman is the existence or the universe. So from Brahman did all these things come from, according to Hindu theology?
That was kind of confusing. You said Brahma created the universe, but Brahmin is the universe. But Brahmin is the ultimate one.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit confusing.
He's just fancy. His consort is Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Vishnu, the preserver, is the second member of the Hindu Trinity. He preserves the world created by
Trinity. So yeah, they call it Trinity too, because there's 3 main gods. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Brahma until it is eventually destroyed.
If you look outside of Christianity, there are many religions, ancient religions, that also have the concept of trinities.
By Shiva. He holds a discus which he uses to cut down anyone that tries to mess with his dharma, along with a conch which symbolizes victory and the 5 elements. Vishnu has many avatars, such as Krishna or Rama, who he uses.
So like these thousands of gods like start to come from like different avatars of that main god.
To defend Dharma on earth. Oh, and he rides a giant eagle named Garuda. Vishnu has 2 consorts, the goddess Lakshmi and Bhudevi. Bhudevi is the earth goddess and Lakshmi is the goddess of good fortune and wealth. Next is Shiva the Destroyer, the 3rd member of the Hindu Trinity. It's his job to destroy the universe in order to prepare for its renewal at the end of each cycle of time. The most identifiable of his features renewal at the end of each cycle of time. The most identifiable of his features is his 3rd eye, which he almost always keeps closed. If he does open it and you're in front of him, then you will have your face melted off. When not unmaking existence, Shiva enjoys long walks with his bull named Nandi.
Nice. Interesting.
At the end of the Kali Yuga, the 4th age of the world, Shiva will perform a dance that destroys the universe. Which is odd because people...
That's like a very popular depiction of Shiva, this statue.
Oh.
But looks like a goddess. But
Shiva will dance and the universe will be destroyed.
Destructive dance powers.
Interesting.
People have told me that my dance moves make them wish the world would end. So me and Shiva have quite a lot in common. Parvati and Sati are Shiva's consorts. Shiva also has 2 sons, Ganesha and Murugan.
Ganesha is... I've heard that the reason he has this elephant head, I forgot who, but someone cut off his head, so they replace it with the head of an elephant.
Is worshipped as the remover of obstacles, and Murugan is the god of war. Ganesha holds a very special place in the heart of Hindus, due to him being the remover of obstacles. The elephant head is the most obvious clue to identifying him. He was actually born with a human head, but after Shiva cut that one off, he kind of had to make do with an elephant one. If you're Christian or Muslim, you're aware that your religion has a bunch of different denominations, like Catholics or Protestants, Sunni and Shia, Hinduism has these too. Hindus developed 4 major denominations, some of which have their own subdivisions.
I think Hinduism is already so diverse that it wouldn't be fair to call these denominations or branches. I think this would just be like different interpretations, because Hinduism itself is already like an ocean.
Yeah, and Islam is really only Sunni and Shia, with Christianity there's like 30 to 40 and more coming up.
I mean, there's thousands of actually sub-branches, but...
The main denominations of Islam is just Sunni and Shia. Everything else is just...
Yeah,
really
and it's like
much.
a main body, one main kind of religion with a like majority consensus on many of its tenets, but Hinduism, again, seems so embedded in the culture and like so large of a theology that I think these would just be kind of different, like kind of schools of thought almost.
The Vaishnavas primarily worship Vishnu, and Shaivas primarily worship Shiva and his
It's not
son.
really like a different denomination. This is just like focusing on one aspect of their entire theology.
Smartas follow sacred texts like the Puranas, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata rather than the Vedas. They worship 5 gods and goddesses: Ganesha, Durga, Surya, Shiva, and a preferred avatar of Vishnu. Finally, Shaktas worship the goddess Devi. Shaktas see Devi as the ultimate and eternal reality, like a feminine Brahman. Even though there are all these variations and more, the core beliefs of Hindus remain mostly the same.
Yeah, see.
Hindus believe that Dharma keeps the balance in the universe. If the scales between good and evil start tipping towards evil, then something needs to intervene to fix the universe's Dharma. This divine intervention is known as an avatar.
Yes, Avatar, Aang. I added Aang in the last video and he came back. I didn't even have to add him myself.
Oh my god.
Yes.
The literal meaning of the word avatar
Kalki
is
avatar.
descent. Avatars are gods that descend to Earth to intervene whenever help is needed to restore Dharma. For example, when the Earth was dragged underneath the ocean, Vishnu descended to Earth as the avatar Varaha, a boar, and dragged the Earth back out. In other cases, Vishnu was born on Earth as a human avatar like Rama or Krishna, where he spent his avatar's life fixing Dharma. So,
Just a side point, but a lot of the Hindu gods, they say he, but they all look like pretty feminine, like wearing lipstick and stuff. I don't know.
I think it's like the design, like the artistic design or the
Yeah.
depictions.
But if anyone knows why, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like Shiva.
Yeah, they all looked like wearing makeup and pretty feminine, so...
the caste system. If you only know one thing about Hinduism, this is probably it. People see it as an oppressive system that locks people in place based on their birth. And for a huge part of history, that's what it's been, unfortunately. Let's do a quick explanation of what the caste system is. In Hinduism, there are 4 castes or classes that you can be born into. There's the Brahmin, the priest, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, the Vaishyas, the traders, and the Shudras, the manual laborers. The main basis for the caste system can be found in the Bhagavad Gita and the Rig Veda. Krishna says in the Gita, "I have created a 4-fold system in order to distinguish among one's qualities and functions." The Rig Veda also refers to the 4 castes. It says humans were created from parts of the god Purusha, the Brahmin from his face, the Kshatriya from his arms, the Vaishya his thighs, and the Shudra his feet. This system was supposed to assign people functions based on their abilities, not their birth. If someone had the qualities of a Brahmin or a Vaishya, they could fill those roles. The Gita didn't restrict
so it was, like,
movement
abused, I guess, and kind of became more of a way to just shut people off from birth.
among castes, and the caste system functioned as intended for a while, until a document known as the Laws of Manu came about around the 5th century BC, popularly referred to as the Manu
5th
Smriti.
century BC.
5th century BC, that's a long time ago.
So that means for that long they had the caste system kind of wrongly implemented. Wow.
They created hard rules for Hindu life. 2 rules presented in it contributed to the way the caste system turned out. Manu states that the Brahmin were the lords of all castes, and he forbid moving among the castes. The caste you were born into was now the caste you're stuck in. If you give humans a hierarchy, they'll exploit it, and things will go sour pretty quickly. As time passed, Hindus began thinking in terms of upper and lower castes. Soon, cleaning toilets, tanning leather, and dealing with meat products were thought to be impure. The people doing those jobs became untouchables, the lowest of the low, a people without caste. And the rest is history. The modern world has brought many changes though. Now Hindus mix freely while working together in the same businesses, attending the same schools, and generally just living together. But when it comes to marriage, many Hindus still stick to their own caste. But this too is changing, and on Hindu dating websites you can actually see people list a non-preference for caste. It'll say caste no bar. So, those are the basics of Hinduism. It isn't even close to covering everything. One video simply can't do it. Hinduism is too diverse, too deep, and means too many different things to different people. But learning even the basics of this fascinating and ancient religion gives us an insight into the worldview of over 1 billion people. And I hope you enjoyed it. You can find all the sources.
That was way more informative than our last video, which was just math.
Yeah, no math in this one, really. But yeah, that's very interesting. Hinduism has a very large history and
Lots
a lot
of
of different,
texts.
yeah.
Lots of gods. One thing I would like to ask some of the Hindu viewers is, so the Ganges River, we all know, is a very polluted river in India, which is also a holy river. And there are some beliefs that, I guess, the goddess Ganga will eventually clean the river. But it's, people know that it's seriously contaminated. So my question is, why has it continued to remain contaminated, and why aren't there any kind of government programs to clean it up? I know they had one program where they wanted to put flesh-eating turtles in the water to kind of eat all the decaying animals that were thrown in the river. But aside from that, I'm just curious, if it's such a holy site for Hindus, and why hasn't it been cleaned up in some way? That's something that I've always.
Why do people throw?
Because they say it's a holy river.
Yeah,
so,
people, I know they died and they want to be in the river because it's holy.
Yeah.
But then there's
They'll
a bunch of dead bodies and
they'll
stuff.
bathe in it, they'll drink it, but that river is also connected to a lot of sewage pipes, so it's pumping tons and tons of sewage into that water. Then you have decaying animals in there, dead cows in there, dead people in there. So it's just it's a health hazard. So
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's very interesting. I'm still interested in knowing the authenticity of the books. We know they said it's divine, but
it's probably
it seemed like a lot of fictional stories and
pieced together over time.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like Hindu culture and epics and stories and poems that have been carried out and developed throughout the history of India, that has been related to their religions, because these people would these stories come from religious traditions or beliefs, right? But they could also be just epics and stories and poems that people have just written.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have a way to verify the texts. We don't have any manuscripts or any way. I mean, it's so old. There's no way. Even something like
it's 10,000 years old.
Even something like the Jewish scriptures, the Dead Sea Scrolls, they're 1,400, 500 years after Moses. So you cannot confirm the Torah, really, because even the Torah itself, it's hard to establish it as this is for sure written by Moses, because the earliest documents we have are 1,400 years removed from Moses. We don't have any other supporting evidence that Moses wrote these. We don't have evidence that Moses existed. That's purely a faith basis, right? But yeah.
But yeah, very interesting video. Any other reactions you guys want us to look at? Leave in the comments. If any Hindu people are watching, leave any information for us. We always try to look at that. And yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.